What's the crack, nutsacks? A hearty fnar to you all. It's Finbar Saunders here, and we are live. Well, we're not live, it's pre-recorded, but we are here with the all-new, all-different, all-frog-free Anime Hour. The show where we take anime titles from the past and present and tell you essentially if they're worth watching or not. So like I said, the frog is gone, but the more things change, the more things stay the same, and we're glad they did because our resident anime expert is back. My partner in crime for the evening, my sister from another mister, my chum from another mum, my relation from a different nation, myself in comics is here. Bianca, how the hell are you doing?
I'm doing good, thank you. How are you doing today?
I am awesome. Awesome. Now, it's been a hot minute since we've actually had the chance to speak. I think a couple of months has gone past, isn't it? So, has there been any major stuff happening in your world that I've missed in that time?
No, not really. Not that I know of.
Well, nothing's happened for you, but I, on the other hand, have had some fairly major changes in my life since we last spoke. I talked about it on Gabbing with Geeks a little bit. I've moved back to my beloved homeland of Scotland. I don't know if you've seen this. I'm loving life. It's great. I've been enjoying the sights around Edinburgh, climbing the hills, just generally having a great time. But work, on the other hand, has been a bit of a disappointment. I can't really go deep into the specifics, but in a nutshell, I thought it was going to be a nice change of pace for me, but I found myself becoming increasingly bored with work. But that's life, I suppose. I think you've probably got the same issue, haven't you?
Yeah, and been working long shifts due to short-handed staff.
Exactly my problem as well. But this is why we're here, Bianca, because we're going to have a great time watching some classic anime. Stuff maybe stuff you've never seen before because it was before your time, and maybe watching some stuff that I never knew I was going to like because it was after my time, but we'll see. So I suppose I better talk about the way we're going to do it because I've watched the way you and Tony did it, and there's room for improvement, I think. So what I'm thinking we'll do is, so this anime we're going to talk about is one I've suggested. I don't know, have you seen it before? I don't know if you have. Didn't even ask you.
I have not.
You haven't until you watched episode 1 and 2, obviously.
Correct.
So I think what we'll do is we'll get this whole series out of the way because it's only, I think, 7 episodes total, isn't it? 4, 5, 6, 7. Yeah, 7.
Yeah.
We'll get this out of the way, and then what we'll do is we'll take a suggestion from you. I'll watch it, and then maybe I'll hand the reins over to you, and you can go through it. I don't know. We'll see. We'll talk about it. We'll talk about it after.
We'll talk about it.
And then I was thinking as well, maybe once we've done my suggestion, your suggestion, maybe get some of the viewers to suggest something. This is going to go up as a premiere rather than a video, so there'll be a live chat. So if anybody in the chat wants to chuck a suggestion out, I've had a few from Jan Ong, my good friend Jan Ong, who my wife thinks I'm having an affair with because he messages me so much. So he threw a few suggestions my way that looked quite good. But if there's anybody, even in the comments, if you missed the live chat, stick some suggestions in the comments and we'll get to it. There's tons of stuff I've not watched. I'll have to show a photograph once I get my shelves up. I'll show a photograph of all the old anime videos I've got. I've got hundreds of them. Some of them haven't even watched. I have this one on VHS, the one we're going to watch. But I haven't watched 4, 5, and 6. I've only watched, 5, 6, 7. I've only watched what was the first 2 videos, which was part 1 and 2 and part 3 and 4. So this
Well,
is
you said you didn't see 4, 5, and 6.
I haven't seen 5, 6, 7. I've seen 1, 2, 3, and 4.
You guys heard that, right? He messed up.
I messed up. I corrected myself. But that was a long time ago. So when I was watching this again for the first time, it was it was almost like watching it again anew because it's been, I think, at least 20 years. So yeah, are you happy with that? Is that how we'll do it? My suggestion,
yeah, sure.
Your suggestion, chat suggestion. Sounds good, right?
Mm-hmm. I've had somebody suggest me something as well the other day, and I'm like, oh, okay.
We've got tons of this show will never end, right? Let's be honest. This show will go on forever. As long as Tony doesn't axe me.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm sure I can convince him to keep it going. But I suppose we better get to the subject of today. We have to address the title of this show because I've always called this show 3 by 3 Eyes. And the title is never explicitly stated during the course of the show, other than at the end on the next episode, Stingers. And they pronounce it as 3 by 3 Eyes, at least in the dub I was watching it was. But I recently, in the last few years or so, found out that the actual pronunciation of the title of the show is called Sazan Eyes. Did you know that? Have you heard of this?
What? Can you see
the 3x3 is pronounced Sazan in Japanese.
Oh.
So the name of the show is Sazan Eyes. So me and you have to decide right now how we're going to approach the naming convention of this show. Are we going to call it 3x3 or Sazan?
I'm going to call it 3x3.
I'm going to call it 3x3 as well. I can't get out of it because I've been doing it for so long, but I don't think many people in the West especially would call it Sazan. They would have just read it 3x3 and stuck with that. So we'll do that. We'll stick
That's what I read it, and I've never heard of this.
I was worried you were going to choose to go with the Sazan route and I was going to fuck it up every 5 minutes, but hey. Right. Did you so I obviously I don't know what how you've watched this. Did you watch it dubbed or with subtitles?
I watched it dubbed.
Yeah, me too. There's 2 different dubbings of this, isn't there?
Huh? There's
2 separate. So there's an old dubbing. I can't quite. There's a streamlined one and there's another one, I think. Because I have it on VHS and I watched it with, I think, the streamlined dub, the old one. I think that is. And
which one did I watch?
You may have watched the updated one. I think the streamlined one was licensed to Manga Entertainment back in the UK in the 90s, and they released it with that dubbing. But
I can see how that would make sense.
So we may have watched different shows.
Dang it, Finbar!
But what we'll do is we'll coordinate better in future, and we'll make sure we're both watching the exact same thing, right? Even if we have to travel to meet each other and do it.
Yes.
This is another actually quite important question, though. Do you prefer subbed or dubbed? What side of the divide do you fall on?
I prefer dub, but I watch both. I just do whatever's available.
Yeah, I went through a phase, especially when Akira came out. I wanted to see it subtitled because I didn't like the dub. Have you seen Akira, the original dub of it?
It was the original one with Johnny Young Bosch?
As who? Kaneda?
Who did he play?
Did he play Kaneda in one of the dubs? Because the original one, the
he plays the guy who plays who has a motorcycle.
They all have motorcycles, Bianca. It's Akira. Are you talking about the main character, the one with the red?
The one who wears red.
Yeah, no, right. So that may have been the re-release. The redub. The original dub had Cam Clark doing Kaneda. Leonardo.
Oh.
And I couldn't. Honestly, watching it really confused. I know we're not supposed to be talking about Akira. We're talking about something else. But I mean, it was confusing me because I kept seeing.
No wonder the dub was so good.
So I go through phases whether I watch it dubbed or sub. But this, because I have it on VHS, I've been watching it dubbed and I've been watching it with the original dub. So we'll just have to coordinate. We'll coordinate better. We haven't had much of a chance, have we? So.
I mean, we just started.
This was kind of thrown in my lap by Tony when he decided to throw it in the bin. So
this happens with me and Tony too. It happens.
Yeah, I know. He ends up watching the subtitled version of things a lot. So anyway, should we get to it? Let's get to it. So 3x3 Eyes, episode 1. We first of all, did you like it?
I did.
And you'd never seen it before now, no?
No, never even heard of it.
Have you only watched episode 1 and 2 so far?
Yes.
Okay.
I was actually going to continue today, and then I got your message, and I'm like, oh, shoot.
You forgot.
I knew it was today. I forgot what time we chose.
Yeah, I'd planned on doing all of them, but time has just been against me. But we'll get these 2 out of the way, then we'll get on to the next 2, and then we'll do the last 3 for another episode, making 3 episodes, and then we'll come on to your suggestion afterwards, after we finish the last one. So, the basic story we'll go through is the show opens in the Tibetan mountains. We meet Pai, and she's being given a letter by a guy who we find out later, is the dying Professor Fuji. I think it's Satoru Fuji. Maybe.
I remember Fuji.
Yeah, Professor Fuji, and he's promising to make her human because we find out that she has 3 eyes, so she's not human. And then we flash forward. What we find out is 4 years later, and we meet a guy by the name of Yakumo Fuji, who we then find out is the professor's son, or we can guess it's the professor's son. And as Yakumo's heading to work, he swerves his scooter around Pi, who's just wandering around in the middle of the road. And she drops her cane, and it's robbed by a homeless bum. So then we cut to Yakumo's job after he picks Pi up, dusts her down, and brings him to the bar that he works at, where we find out he works as a cross-dressing waiter or / waitress, which may be a bit problematic these days, but who knows? And he reveals his name.
This stuff still exists.
Yeah, but I mean,
and it's a host club, so it's a specific time. It is a specific type of interest.
Yeah, it's of its time as well. So let's cut it some slack anyway. You know what snowflakes are like.
Mm.
We find Yakumo reveals his name to Pi, and she realizes he's the guy she's been looking for the past 4 years, which is quite a long time to be wandering around Japan, I think. And then we cut to the homeless bum cracking Pi's cane open, and a giant bird creature flies out of it, starts running amok in downtown Tokyo. And then Pi hands over Yakumo's dad's skull and a letter from his dad explaining that Pi is 300 years old and she's from a race of immortal demon people called the Sanjian Ankara. And as Pi helped take care of Professor Fujini's final days, he agreed to help make her human, and his letter instructs his son to make this happen after his death, and he's not happy about it. So his dad tells them in the letter that they need to travel to Hong Kong, find a statue called the Ningen no Zu, or the Statue of Humanity. Yakumo's pissed off at the prospect because he has to babysit this girl who he almost ran over about 5 minutes ago, until he realises she scrubs up quite well because she's brought back into the bar dressed nicely. So I think maybe Yakumo's third eye awakens at that point. For And then so they see on the news that this flying demon bird is running amok and destroying the place. And then Pi reveals to Yakumo that this is her travelling companion, Takui, his name is, and they both head downtown to try and stop his rampage. But when you know it, Yakumo ends up getting impaled by the talons of this horrible flying creature. And as he's dying with blood pissing out of him, Pi helps him out by bonding her spirit to his in order to imbue him with immortality. We find this out. So Yakumo ends up with the sign of the Wu on his head. Although when I watched the dub of this, they were calling it the sign of the void. I don't know what they were calling it in the dub you watched. Was it the Wu? Do you remember?
No.
The sign on his head. So they were calling it the sign of the Wu.
Woo. Oh, dang it.
I had the sign of the void. I've changed it to the Wu because I've read up that that's what they call it later on, and in the subtitled version that I'm going to use over the top of this. So Pi imbues him with the power of immortality, traps Takui back inside her cane, and everything's okay again. But now Yakumo is immortal. So the duo have to head to Hong Kong in search of the statue. And then in doing so, they end up running into a woman by the name of Ling Ling at a museum that I think is the museum where the statue is supposed to be kept. But at the time, she's being ejected through a window by a group of thugs who are in the process of stealing the statue. And in the confusion, Yakumo runs in front of a bus and gets all fucked up. But thanks to his immortality, he walks away unscathed. This guy gets fucked up every 5 minutes in this show. The fact that it's very convenient that he's been imbued with immortality, because he gets killed probably about 6 times in this one episode. I think
accidentally too.
Yeah, we're killed by the. I don't suppose he's killed. He's dying when she imbues him with immortality, but he would have died. And then he gets hit by the bus, and then he gets shot, and then he gets electrocuted at one point as well. He gets just fucked up all the time. It's crazy.
It's hilarious.
It is hilarious. It's hilarious because he gets up and walks away. But I mean, yeah, it's pretty brutal. There's a lot of blood, I gotta say. So the three of them, after the thugs run off with the statue, the three of them get in a car and go following them. But I don't think they actually follow a car. And I can't remember because I haven't watched it again very recently. But I don't remember how they knew where to go to get the statue, where this house was. Do you remember this? They
I
just seem to
remember
get
them
in a
going
car.
into a specific direction, and then that's it.
I just remember them getting into a car and then going and finding this mansion, but I can't remember if they were following a car or not. Maybe I'm not paying attention. But anyway, they follow these thugs. I'm assuming they follow them to the mansion where they find the statue and a woman she's got Zelda ears and she's tied up. So the gang untie her, and she reveals her name to be Wong, who owns the house. And she claims that since her husband's died, there's been strange occurrences at her house, strange goings on. And then the butler, Chu, walks in, looking like a vampire. He's one of the strange goings on that's been happening. And he threatens to shoot the gang until Ling Ling unleashes some Jackie Chan shit on him. She kicks his ass, which was quite cool. And then Wong...
I love Ling Ling.
Ling Ling's awesome. Not enough Ling Ling, I've got to say. Should be more.
Yes.
But Wong turns out to be in on it with the thugs, and the thugs come after the gang. Yakumo, again, unsurprisingly, gets shot to bits by the thugs. So he's the only one that gets hit. The rest of them all get away unscathed, conveniently enough. But the thugs realise he's immortal when they can see on his head he's got the sign of the Wu. So it freaks them out. They kind of stand off. They back off him at that point. So the gang get away and they discover a book where they learn that Pai has consumed Yakumo's soul in order to give him the gift of immortality, which he's pissed off about, but he shouldn't be because it's saved his life. So then the gang are attacked by some demon magic, but Pai's more serious side, which is called Sanjian, takes over and protects them. And she explains that rather than consuming Yakumo's soul, their souls are now intertwined, and Yakumo will only become mortal again when she becomes human. So she's blackmailing him.
Yeah.
She's taking his soul, holding it hostage until he helps her become human. So Pai deals with the magic demon, and then she passes out. So she seems to be there seems to be a side of Pai that she doesn't remember, because she doesn't remember when she goes the Sanjian route. When she wakes up as Pai, she doesn't remember any of that happening, so she's kind of dual personality.
Yes.
But the Sanjian version of her seems to remember everything Pai does and doesn't seem to like the quiet Pai version. So Chu re-emerges to take the statue back to the vampire butler, and he summons some more demon magic. And this is a lot of sort of demon magic. I wasn't great big on the old fantasy / mystic anime, but there's a lot of that going on here. But there's other stuff in it as well that's quite good. But Yakumo gets his ass kicked again, and he asks Pai to bring out Sanjian to help fight off the demon. And instead of running off with the statue, Pai stays to help Yakumo fight the demon, which he ends up electrocuting it again with the help of overhead power lines. Once again, killing himself probably. And he emerges again unscathed. So Chu now has the statue. His plan is to disappear with it so they can never get it. But he gets shot by Wong when she claims she knows that he was responsible for her husband's death. So, and Chu lying there dying, with his last breath, he sends the statue up into the sky where it falls into the hands of some sort of sky demon, which is never explained yet. And then the statue's gone. So the gang, statueless, head home, and Yakumo at the end promises to Pai that he will find a way to make her human. But then there's like a sort of stinger on the end where we learn that Wong is also up to no good to close out the episode. She's I think she's, if memory serves, she's doing some kind of mystic chant. So that's it. That's the episode 1 in a nutshell. I thought it was pretty good. I thought it was a good episode. I liked it. Like I say, I've seen it before. I've seen it 20 years ago, and I thought it was good then, and I thought it was good now. Still holds up. What did you think of it, Bianca?
I thought it was great. I haven't seen something like this before.
Is this, do you watch anything sort of from this era, or do you just exclusively watch new stuff? New meaning like late 90s onwards.
When was this made?
This was made, I think, I'm going to say the 80s.
The 80s?
I
don't know. I mean, I watch whatever. Like I have animes in my watch list that are like pretty old. I'm not sure if any of them are from the 70s or 80s though. I would have to check.
I think so. I think the original manga may have been the 80s. I'm gonna, 87. So it got started being published in 87. The anime was 91, so it was very early 90s. So yeah.
Okay.
So this is probably I'm merely speculating here, but I'm assuming that you are in your mid-20s, so you probably weren't born when this was made. Yeah.
27, born 1995.
So yeah, this was a few years before you were born. But this is this is my sort of animation. We were talking before we went on earlier about Demon Slayer and stuff like that. I just can't. I can't get over the the computer colored stuff and.
Oh, understandable. I do like UFO though. UFO is the animation company that did Demon Slayer. I personally love their art.
Well, I mean, there's a nice. I'm sitting here right now looking at what's her name? What's her name?
You can do it.
What's the one with the bamboo in her mouth?
With who?
Nezuko. I'm sitting here looking at a Nezuko statue. My daughter's Nezuko statue. See, she loves it. You know she loves it. She's told you. But I mean, the animation style is good. It's nice, but I just can't get over the fact that they did a lot of it with computers. I love the old cel shaded animation and hand painted stuff. Then
I know which one we're gonna watch for my recommendation. Then
please don't say Demon Slayer.
No, this is a few years ago, and it was not controversial, but there was like so much talk about it because they're like, "Yo, they're doing traditional for this anime."
Ooh.
It's been such a long time, so obviously it's not going to look how it did back then. It's still traditional, but the way they do style nowadays is obviously going to be a bit different.
Okay, well, don't spoil it. We'll do that one next. Don't even tell me. Just tell me before we start.
Okay.
I'm going to be disappointed, aren't I? You're going to disappoint me, and I'm going to be angry.
What? Why?
Then I'm going to have to fire you.
Oh.
But I mean, like animation style and stuff like that. It's different from nowadays. Is it something that you can watch, or is it something that's? I mean, I'm assuming that the I don't know how you watched it, but I'm assuming what you watched was like 240p, 4:3 aspect ratio. It's old, right? It looks old. Yeah.
Me? Like how I watched it?
Like how you watched. I mean, you haven't.
They have the HD version.
Okay. I didn't have the HD version. I had an old VHS 4:3. But I mean, did it look good when you watched it though?
Oh yeah. I only had a problem with this anime in particular. Dark scenes are super freaking dark.
Yeah, it is quite a dark anime. I'll give you that right. There's a lot of titles that I've got that are quite dark, and because they're on VHS, they're really hard to see what's going on. So I agree with that. I would like to see HD updates of everything, if possible. But they're not going to take everything I've got and do HD updates of it. Some of it's a bit too obscure. So anyway, episode 1 we're saying is a winner. Yeah, we're giving it a thumbs up.
Yes.
Cool. We'll go on to episode 2. Just a quick note though, we'll have to touch on how violent this show is, and I love it. I love all that stuff. I don't know if that's what you're into, but there'll be several titles that we're going to cover that are extremely violent. So hopefully you're all right with that.
Yeah, I'm good.
You have to be, don't you? As an anime fan, you've got to accept a bit of violence because that's what it's all about.
Yeah.
So getting on. So thumbs up for episode 1. Getting on to episode 2. Episode 2. Sorry, I should have said episode 1's title was Transmigration. I don't know if that's what it's called. I think that the names of the episodes are the same as the names in the manga, and I think it follows the manga quite closely. So episode 2 is called Yakumo. So I wonder what this one's about. So it starts off with Pai and Yakumo back in Tokyo, and Pai is nosing around and sees a picture of Yakumo and his friends, and she's asking if she can call her killer bird her friend as well. To which Yakumo freaks
She
out.
calls it a gang.
Yeah, yeah. Gang.
She's like, that's my gang. She's like, I want to be in a gang. And I'm like, wait.
One
phrasing.
single killer bird and a cane is a gang. Yeah. To be fair, that one gang can do a lot more damage than Yakumo's gang can. So she's right. But she wants to follow Yakumo to school, and he's telling her that no, he wants her to stay at home because she's worrying that she might pop a third eye in the middle of the schoolyard and cause a scene. So he leaves her at home and goes to school. And he's at school and he's mouthing off, telling his friends that he's now immortal, and he's ridiculed as a liar, as you would be if you went to school saying things like this. And his friend Natsuko suggests that they take a road trip to the mountains. I don't know if Natsuko's explained as a girlfriend or just a friend. I think she's just a friend.
So, it seems like they're like, I thought it was going to be his girlfriend when I saw the picture, but they talk and I'm like, oh no, she treats them. They talk like they're friends.
Yeah,
like there's no romantic whatever.
It feels like this is how it would go if Pai wasn't in the picture and this show wasn't happening. They would get together eventually. I think the rest of the friends are a group of numbskulls. So the plan is they're going to take a road trip into the mountains together, and they all set about repairing a scooter. And I don't know if this is the scooter that got wrecked in the first episode or not. I can't remember, but it's just a scooter that they're repairing to go and take a trip. And Yakumo's reminiscing about the normal life he's left behind now that he's an immortal. But he walks off. I think he walks off, or his friend walks off and he follows her. I can't quite remember, but Pai turns up in her Sanjian disguise on a top of a bridge, and she's scolding Yakumo for slacking and he's promised to make her human because he's away fixing a motorbike and planning trips to the mountains when he should be doing what his dad told him to do and help her turn human again. So all of this is going on, and then fucking out of nowhere, guess who makes an appearance? It's none other than Tony TGD. And he starts fucking the place up. This is immediately what I thought when this character flagged up on screen. I thought it's Tony. Tony always gets in on it. And he ends up, he fucks the place up and he drops a bridge on top of Yakumo and grabs Natsuko, takes her hostage. And then he just proceeds to continue fucking Yakumo up to the point where he walks out and his head just kind of flops off, which I thought was awesome. Do you remember that? Do you remember that part? That was awesome, wasn't it?
Yeah.
I was hoping his head was going to flop off and a load of blood was going to spurt out, but it was pretty tame. And then so Sanjian, Pai and her Sanjian guys, she intervenes to help take Tony out and gives him a bit of an ass kicking. And Yakumo's friends show up and they're shocked to see. So he's had his arm torn off at this point as well, and they're all shocked to see that he's starting to regenerate from his injuries. So now they believe him. Now they believe that he actually is immortal. I don't know whether he had to push his head back into place again for that to reattach, or.
Yeah.
But this is never really explicitly explained how badly he can be injured and how he. Like, if he had his head removed, would it grow back? Like, if his head was obliterated, they don't really explain it. It's when he went under the bus in the first episode, he just kind of got up and walked away, and there was blood, and so how much blood can he lose? You know what I mean? It's like, these are the kind of things Tony would obsess over, but it's an anime, you know. But I'd like it to be explained. How badly can he be injured before he can no longer regenerate? Do you know what I mean?
Yes.
These important questions.
Yeah, I was wondering about that too. I'm like, so like, they say you're immortal, but how immortal are you?
Yeah,
like you've been run over by a bus, you've been shot, other things.
Give us parameters, you know.
And that's because they said that if he dies, then Pai also dies because they're intertwined. I'm like, okay, you can die, but how are we doing it? How can you die?
Is that explicitly stated that if he dies, Pai will as well?
Yes. In the dub I watched, it did. Like, because you guys are intertwined, if one of you dies, the other will die. And I'm like, okay, so both can die.
Right. Okay. Well, so he heads home after his friends I don't know if his friends get over the sight of him regenerating in front of him, but he heads home back to his apartment, and he finds it ransacked. I don't even remember now whether Pi had gone back home first to the apartment. I don't know whether she ransacked it or whether it was ransacked by somebody else looking for him. But he goes back.
It was Tony.
Tony went home and ransacked his apartment. Okay. Damn you, Tony. So he heads over to his boss's place at that point, and he explains the story to his boss, the cross-dressing head of establishment. And his boss reveals that Pi is staying at his for now. So she's come back after previous fight with Tony, so she must have passed out at some point when she's there. So his boss tells him that it's best if he just does what Pi's asking and help her become a human at the expense of his friendships. So at this point, his friends are not important. Just get this girl human, and then you can move on with your life. Pretty good advice from the boss. Sage advice. So the following day, he goes to school again, and his friends, Giacomo's friends, are all freaked out by his new abilities and spend the whole morning shunning him. But later in the day, after Pi tells Giacomo she's going to start attending his school, they start to chill out with him and let him back into their group following a meeting between Pi and the Sanjian sort of guys. And Natsuko, she speaks to her, talks her down, convinces her. And then it's soon revealed, though, however, that Natsuko has been possessed by Tony. So she's following their meeting earlier on, she was brutally possessed by him in order to fight Giacomo and Pi. And she ends up getting quite badly fucked up here as well. Not really too sure how she survives this, because it seems to be a lot of brutality going on, but
like her insides, bro, her insides were like ripped apart, and I said, "Oh my gosh,
it looked
holy crap!"
It looked like her guts and all that were coming out. Yeah, so
she was in so much pain. Oh,
originally I thought she's a goner, but spoiler alert, she's not. So Pi gets incapacitated by a scroll. Tony, I think Tony throws a scroll at her head that incapacitates her, if memory serves, and then he engages Giacomo in a battle where he ends up smashing up Giacomo's scooter. Bad. And then Tony gets pumped up like a balloon with Pi's cane. She shoves her cane into him and pumps him up. But Tony, resilient as ever, still lives, and he demands that Pi/Sanjian makes him immortal in exchange for Natsuko's life. And Giacomo demands that Tony exchange Natsuko for him, but Sanjian intervenes and fucks Tony up once and for all.
Sanjian was so petty here.
Yeah, but so she was agreeing to make him. She was agreeing to make him immortal at this point, though, or we thought she was, right?
I didn't think so.
I thought she. So she could have. What she could have done is she could have just. She could have just said, "Nah, forget this girl," the girlfriend or the friend, and turned to Giacomo and said, "Look, forget about her. She's dead, but you'll be dead if you don't help me become human." So I don't think she was petty. I think she was doing the right thing.
She was. They explained how to defeat him. They said she said that you have to get like the core or something like that. Like you have to get him specifically around this area, and that's how you can defeat him. Like she explained it, but she didn't want to do it on purpose because she didn't care. Maybe
that wasn't explained in my dub. Right. I do remember her saying that he was a slave at one point as well, so I don't know if that was... I don't know, maybe if the dubs were different, because I don't remember that. I just remember that he was begging, so Giacomo was begging Sanjian to make him immortal to save his friend's life, and then she did it, or she feigned that she was going to do it just to kill him, to kill Tony. So yeah, maybe the dubs were different, but
no, he offered himself because she kept refusing.
Yeah.
And so like when she's like, okay, so yeah, he's gonna die, and if he dies, Pi will also die, which means I will also die. So I'm gonna have to do what I need to do and actually do it. Like she was really irritated by it. She's like, oh wow, you care. Disgusting.
See, I think maybe at this point I was kind of zoning out because, spoiler alert, I didn't really think this episode was that good. So this is pretty much it. So at the end, Giacomo tells his friends that he and Pi will be leaving Japan. But his friends all forgive him anyway, and the pair decide to set off with the friends' blessings to try and find a way to make Pi human. So to me, it felt like one of those filler episodes. Do you know what I mean? Where I don't think much of the story advanced. I don't know how you felt about it. Whether you felt the same.
The first episode was definitely very strong. I did enjoy the second episode, probably because of the brutality and stuff. A little bit more stuff is explained. But then out of nowhere, like, I think I'm in love with Pi, and I'm like, wait, what? When did this development happen? And the thing is, like, I watched enough of this to know that it was going to happen.
Yeah.
I just didn't see their development. And I was like, is this rushed? Is this rushed?
Yeah, it felt like they could have stretched all of this out a lot more than what they did. I don't know what the manga's like. I haven't read it. So I don't know.
And the thing is, the episodes are longer than the usual episodes by 3 minutes more or something like that. And I'm like, and it's still...
What do you mean by the normal episodes?
Usually, normal episodes like 23, 24. These are like 26.
So these are about 26, 27. Yeah. I noticed that. See, I never really paid much attention to that in the past because obviously I was watching them on video. It's not like something I imagined on TV in Japan. But yeah, you're right. Usually it's about 23, 24 minutes. These days it is anyway. I've noticed that. Certainly with this Demon Slayer carry on that my daughter watches. But yeah, these were a bit longer. When I watched these originally, so episode 1 and 2 are put onto a video that's called Part 1, which is about 55 minutes long, 56 maybe. And then Part 2 is episode 3 and 4, and that's about the same length. And then when they released 5, 6, and 7, they were released as they were intended to be released in Japan as single episodes. So I always thought that Part 1 and 2 were one episode. Or episode 1 and 2 were one episode, but they weren't. They're two separate. Because they don't in the VHS, they don't break. You know, there's no episode break, an obvious episode break.
Oh.
I think it just rolls straight into the next episode. So it confused me. But yeah, it felt like they rushed through it. I think this episode could have been cut out and a bit of maybe a bit of explanation just put in instead. I missed Ling Ling. I wanted more Ling Ling. So
yes.
I wanted them to get
Is
back
she
to Hong
gonna
Kong.
appear more?
Have you watched Beyond? You haven't watched Beyond this, have you?
No.
Right, I'm not ruining.
I was gonna watch it today.
Yeah, watch it. Because I haven't seen the end of this series. In the last 3 episodes pick up, I think, a bit later on.
Yay.
They were animated, certainly made a bit later on, so I think the animation's a bit better as well. But I won't ruin anything for the next 2 episodes because, number one, I can barely remember them, but I do remember being pretty good. So episode 2, I'm gonna give it a neutral, not thumbs up or thumbs down, just a thumb in a sort of horizontal motion. How about you, Bianca? What are you giving this one?
To me, it's a thumbs up.
Okay. So you like both? You were a fan of both?
Yes.
It's good. This is good. Because this is the one I thought maybe we'd kind of lose you on. I thought maybe she would go, this stuff is so old and boring.
No, I love
good
older stuff. That's how one of my subscribers was like, Bianca's so cool. She likes watching the older stuff.
Well, Bianca's so cool. Even if she didn't watch the older stuff, she's just cool in general. Coolest werewolf.
Exactly.
So we're saying, I think overall. So I'm going to take these 2 as an overall because I watched these as an overall. To me, they were one episode when I watched them. So I'm going to say, yeah, thumbs up. I enjoyed 3x3 Eyes, episode 1 and 2, part 1, if you like, in the VHS. Yeah. So it's good. It's good that you enjoyed it. I'm glad you did. Hopefully you enjoy the next one. Think I can't racking my brains and I honestly cannot remember much of what happens, but I just know I liked it. So I'm actually looking forward to it. I can't wait to sit down and watch it. Probably going to do that tomorrow now. So any sort of other thoughts? Anything I've skimmed over, missed? Because it's been a long time since I've really watched anime, and I've got to be honest, I'm glad to be back. I've got to say.
No other thoughts. I'm just really wanting to know how this is going to go.
Yeah, we should have a watch party, me and you.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, that's it. That wraps up episode 1 and 2. The anime hour, we're only at 40 minutes. Check that out. Anything else? Anything else we want to say about this before we call it a night?
I think we all caught out.
I think we have. Maybe we should. You and Tony were doing sort of 5 episodes every show, so maybe we need to start jamming it up with more stuff.
Maybe
we could probably have got through maybe the whole series in one episode if we made it an anime hour and a half, perhaps. But I like doing it. These I think it's sort of 45 minute episodes. It's pretty good, I think.
I think so.
Keeps people's attention.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So yeah, check it out, everybody. Don't pirate it, of course. Pay money for it. Support. Yeah. That was 3x3 Eyes part episode 1 and 2. So yeah, next up will be episode 3 and 4. We'll be doing that in the next show. I'm looking forward to this, and I can't wait. Honestly, cannot wait to see what you're going to come up with, and I can't wait to see what the comments come up with as well, because there is some weird stuff out there, stuff I've never even heard of before, and I'm looking forward to getting back into it again. I'm glad we're keeping this show going. I enjoyed this show, despite the fact I was never invited on yet. But hey, here I am. I'm now the boss of this show. So Bianca, do you want to plug anything coming up for you that you want to share with us? I know you've been busy interviewing some people. Anything else coming up?
Well, the day we're recording is the day I plan to go live. So this would be technically a few days before. But other than that, I don't think I have anything new. I just know that what's today? Thursday?
Yeah. So have I ruined an interview for you by having you do this?
Nah, I don't have anything going on this week.
Well, I checked your schedule. Your schedule was very full, so we work into your schedule. I obviously I don't have one. I'm not up to much. I'm not doing anything in my channel. Too busy. This is going to take up all my time. This is going to take up so much time from me because I'm going to have to edit this thing as well. So yeah. So basically, everybody just keep an eye on Bianca's channel. She does some good stuff over there. I've not been in there and engaging much. I've got to be honest. That I should start doing it a bit more now that you're my co-host and my good friend.
He's a loser.
It's not that I'm a loser. It's I'm busy defending the realm from ne'er-do-wells. That's what it is.
Losers, what losers do.
Yeah, I'm a loser. I should support my buddy. I'll have to do it. Sorry about that, Bianca. I'll be in your chat when you're interviewing somebody. I'll be in your chat. We can promise. And I encourage everybody else to go subscribe to Myself and Comics. She's awesome.
Yes, so, promise.
Yeah. So we're gonna get out of here. I don't have a love piece or I don't have a get out. I'm gonna have to come up with one. So all I'll say is thanks everybody for joining us from Bianca and from Finbar. Peace out. Fna.
Bye.